y'all, let's talk about the different types of grief. Because yes, there's different types. Okay? Now, I have researched 12 different types. And I'm going to go through these swiftly. What I'm going to do is, go through these 12 different types of grief. And if you resonate with any of these types of grief, I want you to put what type of grief you feel like you have experienced before in the comment section. All right. Grief is a universal, yes, everyone experiences it. This can complicate interactions with employees because there is no one right way to support them. Let's look at the various types of grief, which will help to understand the emotions your employees may be experiencing, or your family members may be experiencing, or your child may be experiencing, because that's what we're focusing in on the youth, grief, when youth and sorrow collide. So we already have mentioned the normal grief, which is defined as lasting 6 to 2 years following the significant loss of someone. There may be cultural differences to consider as well. For example, some cultures have grieving practices that call families together over a period of several years to mourn the deceased. This is a perfect time for me to bring up that video of I think it's the wake or whatever, how they was in there dancing and listening to the deceased's favorite music, and it was some people in the comment section talking about it was ghetto and they couldn't believe that they was doing it was disrespectful. First of all, culturally, it's not disrespectful. We have been drenched in this westernized, whitewashed way of doing things. That any time we do something cultural, it's looked at and it's deemed as bad. When we don't realize how anti-black that is. It's a lot of cultural, spiritual type of things that black people do that's looked at as bad or negative or not appropriate. It's anti-black, that's what it is. It's, y'all, we be feeling like if it's not westernized or white that it's bad. For example, I'm finna get on the bonnet, about how we can't wear bonnets at the schoolhouse. Our bonnets are designed to protect our hair. It's a cultural thing. It's nuances to being black. Let me repeat that. It's nuances to being black. Telling a black person that they cannot be black is not only is it anti-black, it's continuing to enable this whitewashed idea of how to fit into society. There's nothing wrong with being black. Let me tell y'all what they was doing. So at the wake, his casket was here. Oh, sorry. Okay, so his casket was back there, and y'all know the auntie or the cousin or whoever at the party, when they get a little drink in their system, they start turning up. They was turned at that way. They was turned. They was getting at that way. You already know how we get down once we get some drink in our system. Y'all know that auntie or that cousin when they get that drink, or that uncle when they get that drink in their system and they start bending them knees. Now the knees can work. Now their limbs can work and their joints can work now all of a sudden. And they start bending them knees. They start getting down. They start swinging their arms, celebrating. And that's what they was doing at the wake. And people got embarrassed.
and was saying in the comment section how it was inappropriate and this, and that. I don't hear nobody complaining about, I do not know the terminology of it, but in other parts of the world, let's start with New Orleans. At New Orleans, how many times, how much do you see people, then they got their no, I don't want to say costumes, umbrellas, colorful suits, and they is getting down at the daggone, I don't know the terminology, but it's like a funeral or something. You know, I don't know the terminology, but let's keep it real. They are celebrating that person's life. There's nothing bad, and quite frankly, I'm gonna use ghetto in there's nothing wrong with ghetto-ness. Ghetto-ness is attached to a negative connotation, but let me tell you right now, I love the ghetto. Growing up, it was the ghetto girls that used to protect me and stick up for me. But that's besides the point. They was calling it ghetto and inappropriate. There's nothing wrong or inappropriate about being black, because that's what that is being black and celebrating somebody's life. We gotta stop with the lies. They were celebrating this man's life by dancing, and we tried to nitpick it and whitewash it and say white people wouldn't do it, so why are we doing it? If our master seen us dancing, he was gonna get mad. Oh,
first off, that person may have wanted them to celebrate in that way to remember them.
Don't get us to start preaching on this episode. Don't get us to start preaching on this episode. That man could have easily said, at my funeral, on my wake, I want y'all to dance and celebrate my life. Was that inappropriate? No, it's not. There's nothing inappropriate about celebrating somebody's life. That's not the problem. Is the fact that it's black people doing it. That's what the real issue is. I'm tired of black people being extremely critical of other black people. It's 2022. It's old and it's outdated. I'm sorry. Move on to something else. Start talking about something else. Because we're going to be black unapologetically. Ain't no more making excuses for being the awesome human beings that we are.
Beautiful, talented, geniuses. Because we are. And guess what? At my funeral, I already let the team know. I want y'all dancing. I want y'all singing. I want performances. I want a blunt rolled up, smoking. I want refreshments. I want y'all to be eating and celebrating my life. I want a big old screen, the projector screen of memories of me on there. I want y'all to celebrate my life, because this life is hard. Having to pay taxes and pay for food and pay for water, essential stuff that we need. Whoever idea was to start paying bills, I just want to let y'all know I'm squaring up with you. Whoever's idea it was for us to start paying bills, I'm squaring up with you. Now let me move on to y'all ain't got me started. Now I'm finna move on to so we went through the stages of grief. Oh, the types of grief. Let's talk about the types of grief. How I'm looking, Jeff, on camera. Because I know I was standing up and we had to adjust. I'm good. They ain't got me started. They ain't got me to start creep. The girl ain't start sweating. Because y'all, I'll be with you. Stop. All right. So we talked about normal grief. Now let's talk about absent grief. All right. Absent grief is when there is a complete void of grief in response to a great loss. This is more common when the loss is sudden. You can recognize absent grief by the presence of denial and shock. Absent grief should be addressed if it continues for an extended period of time. victim. I know that's not a word. But you need to be concerned. Next, anticipatory grief. This type of grief is felt in anticipation of a significant loss. So if your pet squirrel or whatever, a hamster, your pet hamster, been walking with a limp, walking with a dip, took him to the vet said that he got stage 4 renal cancer or whatever. This is anticipatory grief. You're anticipating the grief. This includes things like the diagnosis of a terminal illness, anticipated layoff, impeding divorce. It is common for caretakers to feel anticipatory grief over a terminal ill patient or loved one. When you experience anticipatory grief, you may start envisioning your life without that person. You might make plans for how you will respond to the loss or what to prepare for its occurrence. And again, it may not be an illness. It may be something else like you cheated 10 times and you notice that she or he start doing things differently. They tired of you. You're about to experience some anticipatory grief. So don't get ready for it. Okay? We're talking about different forms of grief, y'all. There's different forms of grief. Delayed grief. This grief reaction does not occur for a long time after the loss occurs. Sometimes delayed grief surfaces in the face of another significant loss down the line. It functions like a trigger opening the gate from the initial loss. Delayed grief. I've experienced delayed grief before as well, where, I was trying to hold it together for other people, but as soon as I got by myself, almost like open up the floodgate. I was boo-hooing. Delayed grief. I was boo-hooing. Because it gets to a point where it's like you can't hold it in no more. You cannot hold it in no more. You got some people who do not like to cry or grieve in front of others. That's me. I don't want nobody to see my crying face. That thing's ugly. You hear me? That's delayed grief, though. And sometimes people don't want to be embraced, and you gotta kind of have to feel it out. Let's go to the next form of grief. Complicated grief. Interesting. This type of grief experience is marked by conflicting feelings for the loss. For example, grief over the death of an estranged parent or abusive partner, or the loss of a job that no longer brought joy. Complicated grief. Complicated grief, guys. I've experienced that as well. And this is TRO, so I feel like I can share that story. And I'm going to share my story anyway. Well, I had a very abusive mother. She was verbally abusive, and she was traumatized. She was traumatized as a child. Some things happened to her in her youth that she did not get help for, and that trauma ended up manifesting in ways where it just was not a healthy environment for me and my siblings. And it was just extremely horrible things that went on and happened to where it's like once she got sick and stuff, it's like, and she passed away, I'm not gonna lie to you, like I went through grief, but at the same time you know, I want us to get rid. I want us to get rid of that lie as well. I do. I really do. The obligation that we like to go to sleep with that makes us feel better at night, and we feel like, okay, this is just for me. This is my opinion. The obligation there that we have to continue to endure abuse from somebody simply because we are related to them. It's very toxic way of thinking. It really is. And I'm willing to argue this down because the things that I experience from family members, I would feel Satan would shouldn't even Satan. I wouldn't wish it on Satan. I would not wish it on Satan. So when she did get sick and finally passed away, I felt a sense of relief. I felt a sense of relief. And I also felt like I got hit by a train as well. I felt both simultaneously. And here goes a pin. Yes, here's a pin. You got it. So yeah, like of course, telling my truth, it did piss some people off because they still living in la la land where they feel like they gotta endure abuse by their family just so they can be looked at as strong or a good person. But I'm being honest with you, I don't care about looking like a good person or faking or putting on a mask and pretending like I'm just this perfect person that lives in this perfect world. Like, listen, it was a relief when my abuser passed away. I was relieved. Thank you. You're in a better place. You don't have to stay here and abuse. And that's a very controversial thing to say. But like I said, um, that is what complicated grief is. That's why it's called complicated grief. All right. So now what I'm going to talk about is how grief affects the body. I experienced a lot of the things that I'm going to name off on this list as far as pain goes. What they have on this list is aches and pains. Muscles and body aches can be caused or exacerbated by grief. Though temporary, these pains can be quite uncomfortable, be it a headache, backache, or other muscle groups. These pains are all caused by the same thing. They are caused by increased release of stress hormones that cause your muscles to contract. They also have impaired immune system, sleepless nights, gut issues, and over and under indulgence. I'm going to read what they say about that. Overreacting, refusing food, and engaging in substance abuse all impact the body physically. That's how serious grief is. Now, let's talk about ways that you can support people that's dealing with grief. They say for most people who do not have training in grief and bereavement, supporting someone who is grieving may feel daunting. You don't need to be an expert to support somebody. You just need to be somebody that cares. Be present. Be vulnerable. Let them know if you are not certain what to say, but you care and are sorry for their loss. Basically, have some emotional intelligence. Have some empathy, because that's something that I feel that we have lost is empathy for one another and being able to we may not understand why from a person. We may not understand people. And the name of this is called A Night with Ted. If you guys are familiar with the TED Talk, on YouTube, that's who Ted is. Okay? It ain't your baby dad, it ain't your husband Ted. It's the TED Talk on YouTube. All right, you guys, I'm about to perform it. In the mirror, with a TED Talk in the back entitled "The Beauty of a Misfit." Well, of course, it caught my eye being that I was basically homeless and suicidal, just getting off the 10th floor, feeling the loneliest I had ever felt since my grandmother died. I literally have no one. So there I am in the mirror, still in my hospital attire with my $7 Family Dollar underwear, which just so happened to be extremely undesirable, with its off-print jungle imprint that screams 8-year-old in the mirror, touching my body and thinking, here I am. Feeling like an embryo in the egg still, how dare I assume what an embryo in the egg feels like? Well, I feel so alone, deserted, defeated, crumbled, gum stuck on the bottom of a shoe, left in the park. I feel extremely defeated and running on E, fighting for my life as the TED Talk plays in the background. I can't help but to break down in the spot I was so confidently standing in and cry. Why? To myself, why did I have to ask God for this? Why did I have to ask God to make life uncomfortable knowing that I could not handle it? I hate myself so much right now. My chest is heavy. My body is weak. I feel hopeless and low. I feel unheard, unloved, uncared for, and yet the moment that I speak up about it, it seems like it falls on deaf ears. People want me to shut up about it. They want me to struggle. They don't want me to overcome. They don't want me to persevere. They want me to get over it. They want me to suck it up and not go through the emotions of my emotions, not feel, bottle it up like they have been taught, and throw away the seat. They don't want to hear it, see it, feel it, empathize with it, so I don't say anything at all. My sunken in black eyes, shallow pace, slow, shallow, shaking voices. I try to speak, arms of failed suicide attempts, ash lines of century-old tears I shed daily, blankets of its remnants in the left of my crevices of my eyes, the shattered glass of failed happy in my corneas. I was running on E. The Miss Mills loss of funds and friends, failed relationships and insults, stress my head like a beautiful scarf as my neck strained to keep my head held high and push through and it'll be okay. My knees through the dirt. As the TED Talk finished, so did I. I just want to give a shout out to just everybody right now, like that's watching and preparing themselves, for the next episode. I just want to give a huge shout out to, of course, Poetic X. Y'all support your community. Support your community, y'all. Poetic X, his books, he has CDs. He actually is got me this journal so I can continue my poetry writing. I take it everywhere with me. I want to give a special shout out to I hope that I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Quintarian, White, he will be featured on the season finale, you guys. The season finale is going down. I'm telling y'all, we finna have fun. He's super talented. 2 episodes left to season 3 finale. Tune in. He's gonna be on here. Poetic X is gonna be here. I'm gonna be here, and a whole bunch of other talented guests. Please support, the YouTube. Continue to support. Just continue to, comment, share, all the support, you guys. We are, taking donations for new equipment at Cash App Shreve 318. Don't get the money sign. That is money sign Shreve 318, SHREVE 318. Want to give a shout out to my other hosts. Y'all, hopefully you guys love the poem and everything. Hopefully you guys have learned something, a little something about grief. And, until next time, you guys, this is Tina / Claire / Nuance, and this is TRO, Truth, Realness, and Options, signing out. Y'all make sure y'all check out that season finale. Y'all make sure y'all support the gang. So my gang signed up.